Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen, and welcome to Heart of the Home. I'm here today to show you a delicious fall recipe. We're going to do butternut squash ravioli with a sage brown butter. It's one of my favorite recipes to do in the fall. I've already gotten some roasted butternut squash here ready for you to go in our food processor. For those of you that don't know, a whole butternut, I'm sure you've probably tried to cut one. It's terribly hard. Put it in your microwave, the whole butternut, for about 3 minutes, and that will soften it up. It'll be much easier to peel. And then, of course, you want to scrape the seeds out. I typically cut mine into chunks and then put it in the oven with a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. Roast it till it's nice and brown, which I've done here already for you. And we're going to move over to our food processor. And normally I use a larger food processor, obviously, but we're cutting the recipe in half for camera purposes. And then what we have to go in this is all of your flavor components, which I love to use. We have got some cream cheese. You can use mascarpone cheese. We've got an egg yolk. We've got molasses. We've got balsamic vinegar. We've got cinnamon. We've got nutmeg. And we have a little bit of an egg yolk to help it come together. We're going to add that to the food processor with the squash. Just a little teeny pinch of salt and pepper in that. Remember that you've already used salt to roast the squash, so you really don't want to overdo it on the salt. A little bit of pepper. And then you want some grated or shredded Parmesan cheese. We're going to turn our food processor on and make a lot of noise. All right, that is almost ready. One thing I should have mentioned at the beginning is that you really do want to get your sage butter going first. I've melted butter here on our stove and I've added some fresh sage leaves. These are just very aromatic. They go delicious with the butternut squash. So we'll add those to it. We're going to turn the heat up just a little bit. You really do want that butter to brown. You can start it out on high and then turn it down low. And I've turned it back up just a second. And move this around. The sage leaves are going to crisp up, and they taste delicious with the butter at the end when we put it over top of the raviolis. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and add the mixture from our food processor. I'm going to add it to what I've already mixed up. You'll find this to be very soft. Sometimes what I like to do is make it the evening before and let it firm up a little bit in the refrigerator. Just makes it a little easier for when you're stuffing the raviolis. Actually, I think that's probably going to be enough. Now here comes the coolest trick of all. Ravioli would involve pasta normally, wouldn't it? Absolutely does. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn my burner up on high because we're going to be boiling these. And as I started to say, it involves pasta. In this case, we are going to do a little bit of a cheat. We are going to use wonton wrappers. These are typically found in your Asian stores and in the freezer section. We're going to take an egg white that I've added just a little bit of water to, and we're going to go ahead and baste the entire wrapper. Now we're going to take about a teaspoon. You really don't want to overfill these. You'll know quickly enough whether or not you've overfilled them when it starts to squeeze out and you put these together. So we want to put a dollop in the middle and roughly about a teaspoon. Our water's starting to come to a boil. They're not going to take very long to cook. A little bit in there. All right. Now we're going to fold over our wonton wrapper. You want to get our sides pushed together. You really do want these to stick. You don't want them to come apart. But you should probably also plan enough when you're serving for maybe one or two to fall apart. So now we've got one. Doing a second one here. Bringing our sides together. If you want to be fancy, you could take a fork and crimp it, make a little marks like they do on dumplings or raviolis. And there you have it. The raviolis are ready to boil. We've got some here already ready to go in the water. So we're going to add those to the boiling water. We've already salted it. One thing you do want to be careful of when you're making these, especially if you make them the night before, when you lay them in your pan or on a bowl, you don't want them to touch. If they touch, they're going to stick together the next day. So you might want to enclose a piece of plastic to keep them from sticking together. And now they're going to boil for about 5 minutes or so. They're going to float to the top when they're ready, and then we're going to top it with that delicious sage brown butter. All right, and so now they have floated to the top. They are done. You want to remove them with a slotted spoon to your serving bowl. We got lucky and none of these fell apart, so I'm excited about that. Now it's in our serving bowl, and now we've got this delicious sage butter that we're going to pour over the top. Turn our burners off. Now you can't really tell it because it's a dark pan that I've used, but once you see this butter, you can see that it is nice and brown. Oh, this flavor is to die for. I highly encourage that you partake in the sage leaves, eat those right along with the bite of the ravioli. All right, and there you have it, a delicious butternut squash ravioli, a great fall recipe. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.